Hey grade 8, so here is a video tutorial on lessons 1.1 and 1.2 since a couple of you have missed it. So just flick through it. I'm also going to place the worksheets down below so you can download it and follow along. Hope it works well. So the first example says that we need to show that 49 is a square number using a diagram, a symbol, and words. So what is a square number? Well, a square number is a number that is the product of a number multiplied by itself. So what does that mean? Well, if we look at this example, we can say that 9 is a square number. That's because 3 times 3 is 9. So the same number multiplied by itself, being 3, gives us the product of 9. And we can also show that as a symbol right here. We can say that 3 squared, which is the 2 floating on top of the 3, is equal to 9. So for our example, it asks to show 49 is a square number. So we can say, yes, 49 is a square number because it can be written as 7 times 7. And also 7 squared is equal to 49. Now, how do we show that using a diagram? So on your notes, you've got a set of graph paper. And what we're going to do is show that 49 is a square number. So on this slide here, I've counted out 6 squares, but of course we know it's 7, so we're going to add one more, and that's going to be 7 squares counting on the x-axis. Now to show that it's a square, we're going to need to count 7 on the y-axis. So it looks something like that. And then of course if it's a square number, we have to complete the square. So it looks something like this, and you can shade that in if you like. Okay, example number 2, we have a square picture that has 169 centimeters squared, and that would be the area. And what it's asking us to do is to find the perimeter of the picture. So with this one here, think about your timetables. You guys know that 12 times 12 is equal to 144. So if we're looking at this, it's not quite a square, so the length must be bigger than 12 centimeters. So I'm going to think about the next multiple up, which would be 13 times 13. And yep, so that will work. So when 13 times 13 is multiplied by itself, we get 169. And it says here we need to find the perimeter of the picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 13 4 times, and that will tell me that the perimeter would be 52 centimeters. So for this lesson, I hope all of that made sense. Your homework is page 8, numbers 1 to 21, and I probably will be doing a homework check after spring break. Okay, so just on to 1.2 of squares and squares root. So if we look at example 1, what it asks us to do is to find the square of each number. Now don't get confused, grade 8s. It's not asking us to find the square root, but the square of each number. So what this means is you'll take the number and you'll multiply it by itself. So for example 1a, we're going to go 5 times 5, which equals 25. And for b, 15 times 15, which equals 225. Now example 2, what it wants us to do is to find the square root of 64. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what number 64 can be divided into. So if we take 64 and divide it by 1 and 2, 4, and 8, we get some numbers. So the way we are going to know it's a square is if we get 64 divided by a number, and that answer is the same number. So if we look down our list, we've got 64 divided by 8, and that equals to 8, meaning that the square root of 64 would be 8. So if we were to show this, I would count out 8 horizontally and 8 vertically, and then there's my square of 64. So example number 3, we've got the factors of 136 listed in ascending order, and they want us to know if 136 is a square number. So if we look down at our factors, none of the numbers are the same when we're multiplying it. We've got 1 times 136, 2 times 68, but none of them are the same like in the one that we saw. So for example, with this one, we said 64. We know 8 times 8 is equals to 64. But if we're looking at this one, we don't see any repeating numbers. Therefore, that means 136 is not a square number. So that's it for this. Your homework for this, page 15, numbers 1 to 21.